Leaves are falling all around. It's time I was on my way. Thanks to you, I'm much obliged for such a pleasant stay. But now it's time for me to go. The autumn moon lights my way. For now I smell the rain, and with it pain, and it's headed my way.
Well, hello my friends. How you guys doing today on this really awesome day? So we're back with the Demon. Yeah, we ran it last weekend. Yeah, and drove it off that cliff. If you saw last weekend's video, yeah, we drove it off a cliff. I would blame about 60% shocks and about 40% driver. Yeah, I've changed the shocks since. You know, the stock ones are pretty bouncy, pretty springy. Kind of throws the truck right over the edge. Never cool. So yeah, it kind of makes it a tough trail truck because just because of that, because it's so top heavy. Yeah, you've got to bring that CG down to try and solve it. But I believe in this truck. I really want to believe in this truck, at least. I just think the scale of this rig is so cool that it's something that I want to work with. So I'm gonna keep up with it until we figure it out. But mainly the biggest change in the shocks was the oil. We ran a bit more oil in there, and we lowered those shocks a bit too. They were kind of the adjustable shocks. They were running at about medium, so we lowered those. So it should help. We'll see today, I guess. So we've been challenged by a good friend of the channel, RC Nixter. And in that challenge or request, just sort of it was a pass along idea to share some of your hobbies other than RC, your outside hobbies. I believe it was the trend was sort of started by Kevin and Susan Millard, I think it is. They're some great folks. Kevin runs Kevy's Music channel, an everything channel. On YouTube, and yeah, he's got some cool videos. You'll have to check him out. I'll put that link in below, obviously. So my three hobbies. That's kind of funny because I don't have any other hobbies. Yeah, I only RC, and that's for a few reasons. Before I got into video, before I got into RC, I used to be an executive chef here in Calgary, Alberta. I'd worked about 14 years in the industry and actually got onto the Food Network and a bunch of other shows doing what I do. I was really good at my craft, but I got tired of it. I got to the point where I felt like I learned so much where I wasn't learning anything anymore. So I just really wanted to change it up and start a different career, start a different path in my life. It was definitely a different chapter. So within those 14 years and then previously, I was honestly just too busy, and I've always kind of been working for my bucks, you know, and doing lots of hours. Within those hours, I just never had time to pick up a hobby. I was always, you know, crash on the couch at the end of the night and, you know, just do nothing. And I got into a routine of working 10 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, that any time off I had, I was just exhausted. Anyways, the hobby that I did have back then is I was huge into racing. I was into rally racing in southern Alberta here. It was one of the large reasons I came to Calgary to get into racing. Anyways, within that hobby, I started volunteering my time, and I started off as a marshal. I contacted the local sports car club, which at the time, the only thing that was kind of going on in Canada was like really just dirt racing, and which was small, and rally racing. Rally racing is and still is quite big in Canada. Not as big as it is in Europe, but there's a lot of Europeans over here still trying to organize it. Anyways, I volunteered for about 5 years, and I would go out there and marshal cars. We would count down cars at the special stages. It'd be about 4 or 5 of us that would sit there for about 10 hours a day. And this would be in the middle of -20 in the winter or even in the summer. It was really awesome, and it was a great way for me to get into the sport and learn everything I could about racing without spending a lot of money. Anyways, I was still a chef at the time, and I was contacted by a company that was working with the restaurant that I was working with, and they wanted to sponsor a car for me. Anyways, long story short, we put a team together. There was about 5 of us, and we would go after work to the shop and work on the car. It was a 1986 VW Fox, and everything was salvaged. Anyways, we gutted it, we put a full cage in it, we had, it was FIA approved, and I started racing with it. We started towing it to Race City here in Calgary when that was still here. We started towing it there, and I started doing autocrosses, and that was just racing in a parking lot under a time, just on your own. That was awesome. I loved it so much. I got really hooked. But I was working so much, we ended up sleeping at the shop all the time, and I really just didn't have time, and I didn't have the space. I was living in an apartment downtown Calgary, and I ended up storing the car in the off-season at a friend's house, and unfortunately the car got stolen at that friend's house. Really, really unfortunate. Like I said, we had put about $5 grand worth of money and time into it, and yeah, it was a great little car. It was a great beginner car. Don't get me wrong. It barely just got our foot in the door for rally. But further from there, I partnered up with another guy. We ended up splitting a car. We bought a Golf, an older model Golf, and we ran that for about a year. And at the end of the day, I got out of it because it was just too expensive, and I didn't have the time. I didn't commit the time, I should say. Rally or any racing, if you try and get into it, it's all your own costs up front. It's quite a shocker probably to most people, and I'm assuming that's why they get into karting or the lower costs of racing, just because of the costs that are out there. So yeah, hobbies, that's a tricky one for me. Hey, I've just recently bought a house. I don't know if you've been following along, but we just bought a house about 6 months ago. We've been renovating the basement to turn into sort of an RC haven, so I can edit film, I can work in a shop down there, I can spray, I can use tools, things I couldn't do before living in an apartment. Thank goodness I can now. I don't even know how I got this far building RCs and apartments, and massive shout out to everybody that is working off countertops in apartments, because that's no easy task. Having to shut your whole shop down every night, put it away, and try and bring it back out, man, that's so tough. I always lost parts or screws when I used to do that, but now with the space that we've invested and worked so hard towards, now I can do what I love, you know, produce RC videos, and I can make them so much better, and hopefully that's noticed in these newer videos. I don't know. The Demon we built in 2 weeks. It would have taken me 6 months at the other place. Thankfully, with the new shop, we were able to do it real fast. So yeah, a lot of progression with the RC stuff, and so much going on down at Blackfoot. Yeah, RC has pretty much taken up most, if not all, of my time with work. You know, the girlfriend at home, that sort of thing. But yeah, I really enjoy you guys following along, man. I super enjoy you guys following along. It's probably one of the best parts of making these videos, is all the great people I've met over the years. Like, holy smokes. It's really, and another reason why I got into RC is because I wanted to meet new friends. And being a chef, I was stuck in a kitchen all day, so we didn't have friends. Our friends were the people we worked with. So this community that's within Calgary is one of the best, I think, that's out there. You know, obviously there's others. But this community is a really great group of folks, and I'm really enjoying hanging out with all these guys and trailing when they can, trailing when I can, and doing all the events down at Blackfoot. Well, RC Nixter, thanks so much for the shout out and the challenge. Really appreciate the comment that you gave about the channel. That's really awesome. Thanks so much. And thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed learning some more information about me other than seeing the back end of a truck all the time. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoy this video, and my friends, until next time. Yeah, I forgot to mention the damage on my truck. Okay, so I lucked out big time, and the truck went off the edge backwards, and it landed on the very, very back. It hit the tire kind of thing, but then hit the very back. I don't know if you can see right there. Yeah, nailed it. It actually pulled the rear light right out from underneath, but I glued that back on. That was no problem. So yeah, I lucked out. Look at that chunk taken out of there. I don't know if you can see that very well, the light. Yep. It's all part of it.
Though our health we drank 1,000 time.